Hey, cool, peace. Kit Sparks here. Welcome back to Guitars, Songs and Home Studios. Today I'm going to be looking at the Dream from UAFX, and I'm going to be comparing that to my Amplitube Fender Collection 1 bundle and to my HX Stomp. Going to try and find out whether this is any better than what I've got over here or down here, and test it out and see what works for me the best. Hopefully you'll find this informative and interesting. If you do, give us a thumbs up or a like to help me to get to other people. Hit that subscribe button somewhere down here, ka-ching, and hopefully it'll help you decide whether you think these things are good or not. Let's get on with it and let's play some guitar. Cool. Peace. Let's go. Alright, so here we are with the setup. I have got over here the Dream that is on a stand. You can't really see it very well, but I'll put up some stills or some video footage in post-production to show you what I'm doing there. It's being powered by the Mystic Universe from the Gig Rig people, gigrig.com, so give it its maximum micro ampage, its current that it wants to draw when it's working. So it's giving it the best power supply that it can. All right, cool. And then over here on the screen, you should be able to see here the HX Edit open for the Stomp, and I've got Amplitube 5 Deluxe Reverb amp chosen from the Fender Collection 1, which is here. All right, for fairness and for being, working on a good scientific experimental type of thing, each of the devices is going into a cab sim and microphone simulator of the same. Everything's the same. The only thing that I've turned off is the amp on the other inputs, but they've got the same speaker cabinet which is the American 12K here in Amplitube, and then they've got the same microphones, a ribbon 121 and a condenser, large condenser mic of 87 U87. All right, the cab simulator on the Dream is turned off, so everything is going through the same microphone and cab simulation. All right, so what I've done is I've just turned them on and I've just set them up, let them be set up as stock. So let's see where we start. And then here I've just got the tone stack at 12. Did a bit of volume matching, so the output's a little bit higher, and I've got the volume just about 4.5, so just clean, breaking up on the Dream. Over here, just one last thing to add, and I'll come into this later on. I've had to mess around, and this is something you do have to do if you want to get good sounds from Amplitube. You have to work with the input gain and the output gain. You have to work with them. You have to make sure, so I've taken the input gain by 8.5 there, and taken the output gain down by 13.9 to get a good signal going in to the amp, to make sure that it's doing what the simulation should be doing. It's something I've found you have to really work with and put the time in with Amplitube. With this thing, I'll show you later on, it's fabulous because it seems to be there's some sort of circuitry going in. Don't have to mess around with the volume, the output volume. If you mess around with the volume on there, so to get more saturation, to get more overdrive, you'll get those things, but the volume doesn't go silly loud, and you don't have to be gain staging too much there, which is nice because, you don't want to have to turn. That's the reason why you're doing these pedals, using simulators, so you can have the overdriven sound without the sheer volume. But that turns itself down. I'll show you that later. These two you have to compensate, and it can get a bit tricky. It can get a bit irksome and tiresome in some respects. But We'll see where we go. Right, okay, so this is the tones for each of them. Let's start off with Amplitube. This is just straight loaded up. This is the Dream. And this is the Stomp. Alright, so everything should be around about the same volume. Okay, so similar. Alright, so let's have a fiddle and see if we can get things to sound like the Dream, because I think that is the best one. Off the bat. So let's have a look. Let's go Dream to Amplitube. So let's do Amplitube first. See if we can get that. Alright, so the Dream seems to be a little bit thicker. Let's have a look. So we've got both the tone stacks on here at 5, so they're a bit lower here. So let's put them up both to 5. See if that does anything. Okay, so it's filled out the bass and the mid-range. There's a bit more oomph about the Dream. Let's put this up a bit on the Amplitube. Alright, seems to be more aggressive on the Amplitube. Amplitube is louder. Or there's more presence coming through. Take that down a bit. So that's the Dream. Amplitube. There's something going on with this Amplitube one. You can hear there's more room, reverb and all sorts going on, but they've all got the exact same setup, but there's some interaction going on. You can hear it there. And this is the Dream. Really interesting. And there's a difference in the mid-range. So we're all around about the right way. So there is some reverb, even though it's turned off on this one. It's giving you a little bit more different sound. Maybe that's affecting the tonal stack. I don't know, but it doesn't sound the same. There's a different mid-range going on between them. I can get close. Dream. Interesting. Alright, so you can get them pretty close. One thing I would say about this Amplitube one, like I said before, it's tricky getting your input and output gains right, whereas this is really easy. Let's have a listen to the Stomp, and I want to have a feel of the Stomp. The Amplitube one, I've used it a lot, and I've used it a lot in recordings, and it still sounds great. It's still a great piece of kit. Doesn't feel as good as this. The feel is different. It's a little bit more digital. You can feel there's a gap between you and an amp, if that makes sense. Let's have a listen to the Stomp. This is the Dream start sound. This is the Stomp. Doesn't sound particularly lively, does it? Let's take. I'm gonna have me Stomp. I'm gonna stomp me feet now. One thing I really like the HX Stomp, but one thing that really annoys me is this is not a master volume amplifier. This is an old school. You turn up the volume, you get distortion, you get louder volumes, and that's how you create your sounds. Now, I love the Stomp. I think it's great. It's a great piece of kit. They've done a really amazing job. But if you're modeling classic amplifiers, just model the classic amplifier. If you want to have a twiddly section or a fiddly section where you can go off and you can tweak all sorts of things, if you like tweaking, if you're a tweaky person, so you want to look at sag and hum and ripple and all that jazz, and you want to put a mid control and a drive control in a classic amp, and you want to have that and you want to fiddle with it, great. But if you're modeling them, just model what's there, because it makes it so much more easy to get in there and to twist what is actually, twist the sort of knobs and controls that are actually on the amplifier itself. And that's what you get with Amplitube's sort of graphic effects, GUIs. And here in a physical form, you've just got on the Dream what is in that amplifier, and that's so much easier. Gets you to playing music a lot quicker. I love what Line 6 is doing. I love the Stomp. I think it's great. They sound great, but that's one of my major bugbears with it, and it's one of the things that drives me away from it, using the amps on there, because I don't need a mid control. I don't want one. I don't want a presence control. I don't want a drive. I don't want anything else. Why has it got master volume? Because I'll show you in a minute. When I've actually found that when you actually take the master volume down, it changes the tonality of the amp, and that's like, what? Because its master is just should be just how loud it comes out, but it's not. Anyway, sorry about that. Rant over. So let's see if we can get this to sound like where we are with the Dream. That's the Dream start sound. Okay. I think it needs a little bit more drive, and it probably needs a little bit more treble. That's the Dream. That's the Stomp. Alright, getting closer on sound, but we've gone louder. So if I take this, I think we're still a little bit too loud. We're about 2 or 3 dB up. If I take this down, let's take it down 2 dB on the master. It's changed the tonality of the sound. It's not just made it quieter, it's changed the sound. I can hear it's changed the sound. Whether that comes across in the video, I'll check. But the master volume has changed the sound. It's taken away the distortion, the diff, and the fizz. So that's pretty close. That's the Dream. That's the Stomp. There's a little bit more liveliness in there. This is the Stomp. Dream. There's a different frequency, mid-frequency going on there. But I actually turned the Dream up a little bit to compensate and try and keep the same tonality, because as I've just shown you, the master volume to my ears here now was changing the volume, but it was also changing the tone on the Stomp, which is rather annoying, really. there's a different mid-range. Now normally on a tone stack from a Fender amp and these black faces, this Dream, your mid-range is controlled by how much bass and how much treble you have. The mid-range is controlled by how much treble, how much bass you have, and the crossover point of where they take your mids out from their curves to parametric curves. So it's really interesting, and that's how you get your mid-range part of the amp. Now it's interesting because there's a difference in the mid-range frequencies to my ears. I haven't done any tests. Maybe I'll do some analytical tests, but to my ears, between this Dream and the Stomp and Amplitube's Deluxe Reverb, I think the Dream and the Stomp are very, very close, feel wise and sound wise. I'll go into that in detail in the outro, but I think that the Deluxe Reverb from Amplitube, I've used it a lot. A lot of recordings, a lot of sections in a lot of my songs. But I've got to say, after playing it against these two now and comparing it, it was never my favourite amp out of the Fender amps, but I find it quite disappointing. Even after using it for many, many years, compared to the Dream and compared to the Stomp, it's not giving me as much as I thought it was giving me, and the feel is not as good at all. When you play between the Stomp and the Dream, there's I don't even think I can tell. I can't tell when the Dream when the Amplitube comes on, you can feel it. It's not as good, and you can hear it massively, but it doesn't feel as good. But the Dream and the Stomp feel and sound very, very close. This Amplitube one, I'm going to do some tests with it because I don't know whether I'll have to. I'm up to date, I'm pretty sure, but it doesn't. There's something going on with that reverb and something going on within the circuit that makes it. That's giving it a different tone and different texture to the other two, which are all set up exactly the same, and they're just going through a line 6 selector to go from one to the other to the other. That's a great sound. That's a great sound, and I have used it. That's the Stomp. The one before was the Dream. And back to the Amplitube. Just picking across the notes isn't as clear. And it doesn't feel as good as I thought it did. I've taken the gain up there as well. They're more balanced across the notes, especially the Dream. Okay, what I want to do now is I want to dime these things, and I want to see what they're like when you really crank them, see if there's a difference in tonality. Alright, so we are on the Dream at the minute. Let's dime it. Bit of noise. So this is the Dream on 10. Now, the Stomp is a tricky one because, you know, what is it? Is it a master volume? No, sorry, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do the channel. I'm going to leave the drive where it is, and I'm just going to pull the channel up to 10. Okay, so it is doing some. Okay, let's take it back to this. The Dream. This is the Stomp. This is the Dream. Oh, fuzz there. This is the Stomp. Okay, I think there's a bit more fuzz coming out of the Dream. Yeah, definitely. I think you'd have to take that drive up. It's getting closer. Yeah, it's getting closer. One thing that I said before, though, this thing is so easy, the Dream, because you just do it like you do the amp. Just turn the volume up. This HX Stomp, we've got to fiddle with it. But I suppose, looking on the positive side from the Stomp, once you get a sound that you like, just store it. You can store presets on the Dream, but it's just easier to dial in. Compression difference in there as well. So this is the Dream. This is the Stomp. Stomp. Definitely a difference in volume, but they sound pretty similar. Amplitube. This is the Amplitube on 10. Bit muddy. Dream. Stomp. Right, back into the Amplitube. Very weak. I don't know what it's coming like on the video, but it's not giving me much here. Let's take a bit of my output back up. But it's gone louder, it feels a bit more responsive, but it's gone dirtier, and bringing that output level up has made it come a bit more alive. Okay, cool, so there we go. I've learned loads doing this video and playing around for a good few hours with these simulations of the Deluxe Reverb amplifier. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've discovered some things yourself. Please let me know. Throw some comments down below and we can have a discussion about it. I think what I have learned about this is everything is subjective. I used to like, and I still do like, the Amplitube sound. It's a little bit more aggressive, I felt, and to dial it in was a lot harder because, as I said, the input gain and output gain really changes what's going on and how the simulation is being hit with the signal. And then how that is reacting is really, really interesting, the relationship there. I found the reverb really interesting on the Amplitube one because there was something going on there. It wasn't going off and it sounded different, especially with the cans on. I don't know how it come across on the video, but it's really interesting. There is a difference and it seems to be changing. There was something in the frequency responses of all three of them, but the Amplitube was really interesting, the dynamic, what was going on. Didn't feel as good, and that was really interesting because I've used the amplifier a lot in a lot of productions of my songs, but never used it to play live online because I didn't like the feel of it that much. But when I've compared it now to the Dream and to the HX Stomp, I can definitely sort of validate my own decision on that. The Dream and the Stomp sound very, very close and they feel very, very good and very, very close. And that is a big difference. The Stomp, as I said, is amazing. I love it. And that's what I have been using for a while now. I had my little rant. I stomped my feet. I don't like the way that it's got too many features. I really do wish that they wouldn't do that. It does take me away from using the amplifier models in there. And I'd say that's one thing that is in massive favour for the UAFX, the Dream. It gets you playing music quicker because you just twiddle the little knobs on there, the controls, and you're basically playing with an amp, which was really interesting, and I really like that feature. The Stomp, I don't think there's much difference in sound. And there's not much difference in feel and touch because when I was just flicking through them, I didn't even look at my pedal, I just flicked through. I couldn't tell the difference between the Stomp and the Dream. I could tell when I was playing Amplitude, but I couldn't tell the difference between the Stomp and the Dream. But the functionality, the ease of use of the Dream is a real big consideration for me. Whether it would be for yourself or not, I don't know. In defense of the Stomp, it's got more features, so you can tone shape a little bit more, well, a lot more, and you've got that option to save it, haven't you? You can save it, you can put it as a snapshot, you can put it as just an amp within a model, a preset for one of your songs. There's a multitude of ways you can do it. So, in a nutshell, it's all subjective. I think that all the gear is amazing, and I'm a dinosaur with AC30s and 1960s and 1950s kit, and like to build them myself and stuff like that. So I just think it's amazing, and you can get amazing tones in your DAW at room volume that if you were trying to crank one of these to 22 watts, it's loud. and you're doing that in your bedroom or you're doing that in your studio, it's loud, but you can get these great tones, which is subjective to what your ear wants and what your production and what your song wants. You can get them at good volume levels. Wear cans if that's what you do. Headphones, I'm not a big fan of headphones. I like to have it in the room, but amazing sounds. Even using, I've got the Captor 8 over there, or you could have an aux box or whatever you use. You can get your sound, but you can use the valve amp if that's what you really want, if you want to be a purist. But I'm amazed at the Dream, I'm amazed at the Stomp and how they're so close together. And the Amplitube Fender packs, they've got their sound a little bit different and they don't feel as good to me, but that might be something to do with my computer and my interface, I'm not sure. But they're still great, still amazing pieces of kit. So it's really, really interesting. I hope you found this interesting. It's all subjective. Whatever you like the best is the best fit. So let me know what you think. Which is your best fit? What would you take and work with? I will be doing some videos on can I use them live. So what's it sound like when you're putting it into a speaker cabinet and amplifying the volume and see what works, see whether it would work to be a replacement to a valve amp. They sound great going into the door and being in the studio, but will it work if I was going to go and play them live? I know the Stomp does because I've done it. I want to really listen to the UAFX the Dream, and I've got the Ruby as well, so I really want to have a look at those. I've got the Woodrow as well, but I'm not really that bothered with that one. But I'm going to look at the Dream and the Ruby to see whether I could play them live, and whether they would stand up to what I want to put them through. But that's cool. Thanks for being here. You guys and girls rock. I'll see you again soon for another episode of Guitars, Songs and Home Studios. Cool. Remember to give me a like and a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't. Ka-ching! See you soon. Peace.